It's time for another episode of Hops and Hedges, where we talk everything beer and landscaping and everything in between. So crack open a cold one and let's dig in. Excellent. Here we go. I believe in this series, Sean, you are officially episode number 3 or 4, 3 or 4. I'm not sure. So anybody who's tuning in, this is the one and only Sean James from Sean James Consulting. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. This is fun.
This is so crazy to me. It's funny because by the time that this episode goes live, I will have been podcasting for about a month. But right now, at the point that we're recording, I've been doing it for 6 days.
Oh, wow.
Right? So
super cool.
Super cool, super nuts. So thanks for going on this crazy journey with me. It's funny, before you came on the show, I was thinking about the first time we met, and it was over Zoom. Do you remember that, Sean?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was...
I remember plants.
You remember plants? Perfect. I love plants. We're going to get along just fine. But that was 2020 when
oh my gosh,
I lost my job and was completely hit the bottom of the bottom. And Jackie Hart, who is a mutual acquaintance of ours, put us in contact and said, you know what? Here's this girl, Heather. She doesn't know what she's doing with her life. She's suddenly unemployed and is thinking about starting a business. Would you be willing to go on a Zoom with her and just chat plants and business? And you did. So I wanted to publicly thank you for taking, I think we Zoomed for like an hour. And you just talked to me. I was a stranger at the time, and you were one of the people who inspired me to start my business. So I'm
awesome.
Very, very grateful to you. And thanks
again. There's a big lesson there. I think we don't recognize the differences that we make in other people's lives just through simple acts like sharing information. My life, I don't think I've ever made a conscious decision in my life. Just doors open on life's hallway and I stick my head in and go, oh, this is nice. Yeah. And like when I was a teenager, back when they just hire a raft of teenagers to work on a farm for a couple of days, I got a job working strawing strawberries at Spring Ridge Farms. And that gentleman, John Hughes, was a professor at Guelph University. And of the 40 kids, I ended up working beside him. And of course, I'm talk. And and I had applied to Guelph for horticulture. And he said, you know, based on everything you're saying, we'd love to have you, but the place for you would be the Niagara Park School. And I had never heard of it. And life went left.
Yeah.
And I told him, I actually tracked him down years later and told him the difference that had made in my life. And he's since gone on to tell that story to other people. So it's kind of funky.
There you go. You are now the other end of that story for me. So I think it's cool too. And how many times do we meet people in our life and they never know? They really don't. Yeah, so sure. I really tried to, any opportunity that I have, to say thanks, where thanks is due. And you, my friend, you're top of my list. So I'm really excited to have you on the show. So for anybody who doesn't know, so Sean James from Sean James Consulting, you're in Milton, Ontario. And you started that in 2016. But I'd like to know.
I did.
Could you tell myself and anybody who's tuning in how this crazy thing started of you in horticulture, and maybe start with once upon a time?
Once upon a time. There are no short stories in my life.
I'm going to cut you off in 30 minutes.
My high school biology teacher, Ann Featonby, needed someone to help out in her garden. And I thought, well, she's cool and I'll learn something and make a bit of money and have some fun. And she was legally blind. So right off the bat, I was in the deep end of the pool because it was more about fragrance and bright colors, which was really, really cool. And then I joined the Horticultural Society in Milton. And when they found out that I was actually working, someone had a cousin, the cousin had a friend had a cousin, and I was in business. And I hadn't thought about doing horticulture professionally at that point. It just sort of all happened. I went to the Niagara Park School. I had my best friend, Cal Thomas, was in business at Western. We graduated at the same time, so we went into business together, him being the business side and me being the plant side. And we ran NVEX Landscaping until 1996. It was a bad time to start a business, and we went bankrupt. Mostly because we were trying to compete with our, well, competitors and
Right.
basing our prices off theirs. Bad
Mm.
idea. And then I ran Fern Ridge Landscaping on my own and sometimes with a series of business partners, and each added something amazing. And then it was time to downsize. I'm an excellent horticulturist. I am not an excellent administrator.
Gotcha.
I was not getting my hands dirty. I was not doing what I did best. And now I love my life. I've got an assistant, Jamie Sircon, and he's fantastic. And we go around doing eco landscape designs and consulting, and actually do a little bit of boutique work, the special intriguing jobs like
Yeah.
pruning. I'll get in there and we'll build small gardens together. And beyond that, we farm it out to some of our trusted colleagues, former students and teaching colleagues and so on to get work done. So yeah, it's funny how life evolves. It really is.
Holy, like what a it's so crazy to when we think back of all of these what seem to be random like
Yeah,
stepping stones, and then it's like, oh, but all of those led to here. And I kind of like where
yeah,
I'm at, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. Oh, no, yeah, no, for sure. I well, and when life evolves that way, you do end up enjoying what you do more and having fun doing what you do more.
Hmm.
Um,
It's funny, I was thinking too
so I
about oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, it's okay.
I was just randomly thinking that's my brain, right? So I'm probably I have an appointment actually next month talking with my family doctor about adult ADHD and if that's something that I need to
You
deal
know,
with. It's crazy.
people talk about these things as if they're abilities, and I disagree. I'm probably somewhere on the spectrum.
Yeah.
And I tell my students it's a superpower. If you can figure out what your kryptonite is
Yeah.
and delegate that away, then it's all superpower.
I
Um,
love that.
yeah, I noticed that you had a beer there, so I've got my beer here.
Oh,
Um,
excellent. And did you get room service too? Was that you
I
had
I my assistant Jamie is amazing and just does things that need doing. He's amazing.
well, I think I'm gonna have to tell my husband he should have to I think one of these podcast episodes he should bring me a beer. So actually, let's take a little
On a
segue
silver
here
tray.
on a silver. Oh, I wonder if I could get him like a little apron that he could come and wear when he brings me that. Oh, nice. You're
I,
ready to go.
I this is my award from Landscape Ontario. This is my Garden Communicator Award. And
Oh
I
man,
almost
that's
dropped it
cool.
because I spilled crazy glue all over my fingers, so they're slippery right now.
Oh, geez. Okay, so let's take a second to talk beer because
Okay.
I could see that that was a steam whistle that you've got. So
It
that's one of
was.
your go-tos, right?
It is partly, well, it's a really good beer, and I like a nice crisp beer. And they're also Bullfrog powered, like Sean James Consulting and Design is. So all of their electricity is Bullfrog. And when I had natural gas, it was Bullfrog, and both of my vehicles are offset. Someone gets a free upgrade to biodiesel to offset my gasoline use.
Okay, so
So we
maybe
are,
I'm totally out of the loop on this, but I saw in your questionnaire that you said that they're bullfrog powered. So for people like me, what the heck is that? I don't even know what that
Bullfrog
means.
is an organization that basically, in some ways, it's offsets. So my electrons may or may not be green. Wherever they generate the power, they put it in the grid, and then Ontario Hydro pays them for it, um, somewhat. And then I pay Bullfrog, and between the two of us, that means that somebody's getting green power, and that offsets any power use that I have. And they have a
Huh,
program for that, natural gas, and for vehicles, which is pretty cool actually. And I
very
plant
cool.
trees for a living, so I'm
Yeah.
already pretty darn green right there.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be looking up this bullfrog thing. That sounds really cool.
It's really
But what
cool.
was
And it's actually quite reasonable.
yeah. And what was the you said that your favorite is a tie between your two favorite beers. So tell me about
Oh,
those. What are they? You said
so
Polliner?
Paulaner is a Weissbier that I tried in Munich, and I love it. It's a really, really nice, good with a little bit of orange, although great on its own. And I was in Cancun going off the beaten trail. I don't do the touristy thing. and I'm thirsty, and I went into this little hole in the wall convenience store, and I'm looking at generally I'll have what I haven't had before.
Yep.
And I looked and went, Negro Modelo. Let me try that. Great, thanks very much. Oh, can you open this for me? Went out, sat on the curb, and took a sip and went, oh my God. Crema de cerveza is their slogan, the cream of beers.
Huh.
And according to my friend who's a beer expert, or at least an aficionado,
Yep.
it is the last Vienna lager brewed in the world. And I said, what do they brew in Vienna? And he said, mostly tasteless ales. Um,
Of course
he's a
they
little
do.
opinionated.
Oh,
But
geez.
it's really hard to find, but it's really, really good.
Okay, I'll have to
So,
put an asterisk on that one. I'm also one that I like to go on a little beer adventure and find new things
yeah,
and things that I normally wouldn't try.
yeah.
Sometimes
Well, that's why we went to Prague and to
yep,
Munich, was on a beer tour. I mean, I was there for birds and flowers, but the beer was a bonus. So,
nice. I like that.
yeah.
Okay, I'll have to look that up. I'm actually drinking Space Invader, which I will totally admit
Awesome.
that I bought just based on the can.
Yeah,
It
but
is an
you never played
IPA.
it when you were a kid like I did.
I did. I
Did you
did.
really?
On an Atari.
I just gave away my original Atari. I gave it to a friend who collects that sort of thing in
Okay, well,
box.
it's good. Wow. Well, he's a collector, so that's good.
Yes.
Two favorites. So, Cuba and Cancun, but you actually do a lot of travel for your work, which I think is
We've
so cool. Like,
I
so
was
tell us a
just
little bit about
rooting
that.
through pictures for I was just rooting through pictures for blueberry flowers. That because we were down in Nova Scotia for 2 years doing a project down there. We've landscaped in California. I just did a landscape design for Switzerland. Why would you landscape in Switzerland? I was there on a trip, seeing the gardens and the birds, and the architecture and the food. Oh my God. Anyway, focus. And this lady that we visited for an evening had a terrible landscape and liked what I had to say. And so I did a landscape design for her. She paid me a whole franc just so I could say it was a paid gig. Um, but it was really
Wow.
weird designing with what here are invasive species.
Yep.
And I'm posting about it online because I do a lot on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. And
Uh-oh.
I just got a TikTok account. I haven't done anything yet.
Congrats.
But yeah, well, thank you. It was interesting because I posted about it and someone said for the rain garden, you should be using purple loosestrife. It's great for pollinators. I'm like, ah, ah, because it's such an invasive species here,
Uh-huh.
but it's native there. And what's
Wow.
native there is what I tried to use in the garden. Not all the time, but
Yep.
I love native species and where I can use those, that's great. So, I'm using yellow flag iris, which again, forbidden here,
Yeah.
but it was really, really cool. So, and
Holy
I've
smokes.
consulted, I've done a little landscape in Barbados. I've consulted in Atlanta and Cancun. Once people find out that you know what you're doing and
Yeah.
you're willing to share information, then you become a go-to. So we get to do some neat stuff.
Well, I mean, you are such a wealth of knowledge when it comes to ecological and environmental restoration and design, native species, stormwater management, rain gardens. Like, you're just
Love rain
amazing.
gardens.
Yeah. So I'm just
Well,
fangirling
thank you.
over
I mean,
here. Don't mind
again,
me.
have fun doing it. Like that's the thing, right? Like it's all a blast. And every day, if you're bored in horticulture, you're doing it wrong. There's just so
Right?
many cool things to learn. New plants every day. You're never going to know them all.
And I think that's
I'm
why I
this.
do, like, I really like this too, because I get very bored easily and I love the challenge and that ongoing learning. I'm learning and
Yeah.
meeting new people all the time.
And
Um,
there's why if you do end up having ADHD, not a problem. It's a superpower
I
because it
got
allows you
this.
to dive into all those little rabbit holes that other people wouldn't.
Bring it on. I'm ready. Oh, wow, talk about segue. See, that's how my brain works sometimes. But another thing you told me, and I'm sure you'll remember this, is you told me because I was again bottom of the bottom, and I was like, I just don't fit anywhere. I'm a plant nerd, and my brain goes all over the place. And you told me to let my freak flag fly. Your people will
What's
find you,
true?
and I do
Yep.
every day.
Yep.
You know what? I'm gonna be me, and if you don't like it, you're not my people. Find your people. It's not me. It's okay.
When I'm teaching at Mohawk, I tell my students, figure out what you love and then love it openly. Don't be Canadians, sit in the corner and wait for people to notice you.
Right?
Don't walk into the backyard and see a monster oak and go, wow, that's amazing in your head. And then say, yes, I think we can work with this. People love enthusiasm.
Yep.
And like you say, if they don't, then tough. Um, my garden, my old garden in Milton, I live in a beautiful country property right now. Uh, there were people who loved my garden, and there were people who hated my garden, like vehemently hated it. I
Yeah.
can't understand, as a professional, why you would let. Well, we just sold a $120,000 job to someone who liked my garden,
Yeah.
and they did the thing,
Yep.
the mouth open agog. But that's
People
I
really
don't want
have
to
no
create
idea.
art. Well, that's it's fine. If people don't like your garden, that's okay. I
Yeah.
don't want the music, the elevator music of gardening. I don't want
Hmm.
something just okay, non-offensive. I want something that if you love it, you're really going to love it. And if you do that, then there are other people, and that's it's okay, that are really going to
Yep.
hate it.
Hmm.
It's your garden.
Love that. My garden is awful. I don't love it, but that's because I'm too busy working in everybody else's gardens, right? So maybe this year.
The cobbler's children. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, there you
maybe.
go. Just do a little bit at a time.
Um, what else was I gonna ask you? Oh, there was this you had posted about doing, and I for as soon as you say what it's called, I'm gonna remember, but you had posted this thing where it's like a dry bed and it's all really dry. It's not just xeriscaping, it's a very particular type of plant it and leave it type garden. And there was some cacti in there, there
Oh,
were succulents in there.
scree gardens.
Scree
Scree
gardens.
gardens are super cool.
Yes.
So scree is the stuff that falls down the side of a mountain, rocks and gravel and such. And there are a whole bunch of plants that love growing in it and other plants that must grow in it.
Huh.
Succulents and such don't like wet feet, and our winters in Ontario get kind of damp and wet and horrible. And I think more plants die from that in the winter than do from the cold.
Hmm.
And the up and down in temperatures. So yeah, scree gardens are really, really neat. And you get to plant things like rare grasses. And of course, you mentioned cacti already. I have some really neat things and some surprises. There's a lovely plant called bone set. It's related to Joe Pyeweed,
Oh,
and it
yep.
came up from seed in my scree garden.
Huh.
And it's a wetland plant, a riverside plant. And
Yeah.
and yet it was happy as a clam because it adapted to that situation from seed. And
Hmm.
it's beautiful out there. Great winter interest. It's a lovely plant. So, gardening, you can experiment or just participate in Mother Nature's experiment
Yeah.
forever and always learn new things.
Hmm.
I'm
It's so
starting to
funny
sense a
too,
theme.
a theme. Yes, exactly. Um, for cacti, how lots of people don't know that cacti can grow here.
And are native here. There are at
Yeah.
least 4 different species that are native in Ontario. Even Alberta has native cacti.
Wow. And I mean, I'm
Plenty of
familiar with prickly
fragilis.
cactus, but I
Yep.
didn't know, I knew that there was more than one native to Ontario, and prickly cactus is the
Yep.
one that I'm most familiar with.
I think polymorpha, definitely fragilis. And there's another one that's not coming to my brain. Obviously, hemophilia. That's the one everybody knows and loves.
Huh.
And some of them are really cool. Well, they're all really cool. Some of them are nasty, like spines, something like that. It's not the spines that you need to be afraid of. It's the glockids, the little tiny hairs. They get stuck in
Oh,
every soft bit of
everywhere.
flesh. Yeah.
Ugh.
One of these days, I have to make nopales de nortes. It is cactus stew, and it's made with the pads, not with the fruit.
I was
And
just gonna ask you if
it
you've ever had it.
I have it. I have had it. I just haven't
Okay.
made it. There used to be a wonderful legit Mexican restaurant in Mississauga, and the sweet old lady there was from northern Mexico and made it, and it was really, really good. It's tangy. She slices it in sort of long, thin strips.
Yeah.
The trick is dealing with those glockids, a blowtorch, like a plumber's torch. You burn them off.
Oh,
Yeah, that was the face I made too.
yeah, that makes sense. Because I've seen people
Yeah.
online where they wear gloves and they like brush it and stuff, but those hairs are so fine that
Well,
I,
you'd have to throw the gloves away after because they're
oof.
barbed too, and they're going to work their way through the gloves.
Oh man, I have not tried. I have never eaten cactus before, but it's on my list
Hmm.
of random
Oh,
things that I gotta
well,
do.
you have you had dragon fruit?
I have had dragon fruit. That is a cactus.
That's cactus fruit. Yep,
I
yep.
learned something new today. I
Um,
have eaten cactus. Thank you
last
very much.
There you go. Last time I taught you something you did that you didn't know. That's interesting. Last time I was in Cuba, my friend Arturo took us up into the mountains, and we were hungry. And I saw fruit on the cactus starting to ripen up. And I said, "Are these?" I don't know why I asked him. I said, "Are these edible?" And he went, "No." I, "Oh, sure they are. Are any ripe?" And he went, "No." And I
Don't do
slugged
that.
off into the bush and came back with a great big one that was beautiful and ripe and cut it up because I'm a horticulturist, so I have my knife with me. And by the time we were done eating it, we all looked like we'd put lipstick on. But boy, it was delicious, right? Fresh off the plant. Oh my goodness. And
Too funny.
in that case, I just grabbed a big leaf to clean off the glochids.
Yep.
So, and it was delicious.
Huh. Okay, so we've talked about scree gardens. We've talked about some native plants, yellow
Foraging.
flag iris, some crazy natives that are Swiss and but invasives here, but natives there.
Yeah, and I pay a lot of attention to invasive species here. That's one of the big things that
Huge.
I'm working on. We're actually working with Landscape Ontario right now to update the recommended urban tree species list
Yep.
to take invasives off and put some better stuff on. And then we're going to take that and go beyond because that's
Right.
one of the big things that threatens our biodiversity here is invasive species because they push
Huge.
out the native species and everything that feeds on them, and therefore the whole food chain is affected.
And it's still,
Buckthorn.
it boggles my mind. I mean, I've only been with Landscape Ontario for just over 10 years now, but we still have invasive species being actively sold in greenhouses all over Ontario.
I'm working on it. They're a
Well, a
great
number of us are.
organization. They do
It's
so
like,
much good eco stuff.
oh yeah, no, I
The
don't mean
Smart About Salt
Landscape Ontario.
program.
They're doing so much.
No, but still, they got
But
the Smart About Salt program, the Water Smart Irrigation Professional program, the Fusion Gardening program. A lot
yeah,
of their educational, like I did a speech on xeriscaping, drought tolerant landscaping at Congress, our big trade show last week, which
yep,
seems like forever ago.
I saw you
And
there,
it was
but
packed. It was
it
packed.
was. Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
like
no,
they do a lot.
I know, and I should rephrase, right? Because I'm not by any means kiboshing LO. I'm actually they've changed my
No,
life for the better. What I
yep,
mean is I just
same.
can't believe that because I've seen LO, Landscape Ontario, actively try to get these things changed. And it boggles my mind that it hasn't happened yet with all of the work that LO's been doing. Like it's crazy to me when I see certain things
I would say
still
people
being
just don't
sold.
understand. I know.
Education's
But
a
and
huge
that's
part of it.
changing too. You got to get some nurseries online. So Ground Covers Unlimited has stopped growing goutweed, and they're working on periwinkle. And I have a friend, Ria Lagucci, and together we're going to write an article, hopefully for Ground Magazine, the magazine for the Ontario Association of Landscape Architects,
Okay.
about why invasives are bad and some of the ones that we use frequently, like the non-native honeysuckles being a great example.
Yep.
And we've just found out, and knowledge is changing too. So I don't blame people.
Yeah.
Uh, Chinese flowering lilac or Japanese flowering lilac, Syringa
Hmm.
reticulata, has just been added to the list. And I like
Wow.
that tree. So,
Yep.
we get attached to these things too, like burning bush. People don't understand. They
Yep.
haven't seen it spread because the birds take the berries away. So where it
Hmm.
spreads isn't your garden.
Yeah.
And it spreads badly. We pulled out 200 on one job site and there's more now because the neighbor has a giant one and loves it. But there's
Mm.
always a better plant, aronia, the poorly named
Yep.
chokeberry. Beautiful plant, white flowers in the spring for pollinators, beautiful big berries that last into the winter and spectacular fall color. Like it's
Yep.
better than burning bush, but
Yep.
people don't know. So we educate and we share information.
One step at a time. That's all we can do, right? So how about I'm gonna
Yep.
ask you about houseplants.
Okay.
Okay, because I know you're a native plant guy. But have you got I see that there's a is that a bird paradise behind you? Or a banana?
Very good. No, it's
Is
a
it a
bird
bird
of
paradise?
paradise.
Oh,
The banana's right
sometimes I'm
beside
doing.
it, actually.
Yeah. Oh, there
Where's
it
the
is.
banana?
Oh,
There's my
look at
little
the little
banana. Uh,
bananas.
the bird of paradise you should feel sorry for because they keep it dwarf. That's the giant,
Yep.
Nicolai, and it's never going to bloom for me. And I keep it small, and I've kept it small for 20 years.
Wow.
I like house plants. I'm not sure if I'm good with them or not.
Mm-hmm.
Some die, but I have a few orchids, and I have a vivarium, or I don't know why we're calling them that. What's wrong with terrarium? And I've got some orchids in there, and sundew,
Nice.
a longleaf sundew, in there, and some other neat things like a couple of different I've got a ball moss, I think it's called, and it's actually a type of air plant,
You know what? I
Tillandsia
had one of those.
cricata.
I forget what
They're
it's called.
tough.
Yep.
They're tough to keep alive. You got to mist them just right or have the right humidity. So if you got a bathroom with lots of light, they would love that.
Nice. So you don't have a
A lot
Thai
of houseplants.
constellation monstera then?
Ooh, I almost bought one the other day, actually.
It's about,
No, I don't. I do have the pink princess
okay.
philodendron, which
Yep.
is about as
Actually,
close as it gets for exotic things.
I have one of those too, but I'm not sure where. I have a few different I have houseplants stashed all throughout the house.
Yeah,
Wherever there's a spot.
same, same. Yeah. In the summer, they're almost all outside. Although I'm not going to put uh, this guy outside again. This is one of the more special things I have. This is a little, he really doesn't look very good. This is a little orchid called a jewel orchid,
Oh,
and it's
neat.
super low light tolerant. It does, I have made it flower, but isn't it
Yep.
beautiful? We put
Really
it
nice.
outside this summer and he's about half the size that he used to be. So I don't think we'll do that again.
Okay. So definitely more low light. I remember going to talking about orchids in 2018, my husband and I and a couple of friends of ours, we went to um not Cancun, the Cayman Islands. And they have a
Mm.
botanical garden there where there is an orchid forest. So you actually walk the boardwalk and they have
Yeah,
all of the orchids in the trees with the labels. So
that's
you have to
amazing.
keep your chin up to walk through the
Huh.
orchids instead of
So
down on the
if
ground.
you like
Very
that,
cool.
in Costa Rica, there's a place called Lancaster Botanical Gardens, and they have a collection of miniature orchids. They hang on a piece of bark, and there's magnifying glass that hangs on the piece of bark, and you can actually look close up, and it's just like a big orchid that you buy at the box store,
Yeah.
except shrunken, like every little detail. Yeah, just right there.
Wow.
And most people don't know that they have orchids in their garden. Almost everyone has an orchid called Helleborine, Epipactis, in their garden, but they just don't know it. It's
Is that the native
more
one?
or less a weed.
Because I thought,
There's a lot of
or,
debate
oh,
about it
okay.
being native or non. It's in the darkest forests. I think it came here on the feet of birds, personally.
Okay.
I have no one backing me up on this. But I think it came on the feet of birds, and because it's everywhere. And some of
Yep.
them are sort of green with stripies,
Yep.
and some of them are deep purple and lovely. And I think it's a neat plant. So I leave it. I think very
Okay.
carefully before I pull out something that Mother Nature planted, whether it was with our help or not. And I do the
Right.
math on every plant. I
Yep.
love my native plants, but I love plants. So I have things
Mm-hmm.
in my garden and I still plant things that are non-native, but I think about if it's good for pollinators and if it's a host plant for anything, because that can still happen with non-natives, although
Yep.
much less frequently.
Yeah.
Like crab apples, for instance, are so closely related to our native Malus coronaria that they seem to get the same things feeding on, like
Right.
cecropia moths, which is one of our giant silk moths.
So cool. I remember seeing an
Yeah.
owl moth when I worked at
Ooh, oh,
Royal Botanical Gardens. There was one, I don't know where it came
it must
from.
have
If
come
it,
in on something.
that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking too. And it was huge. It was
Oh, yeah.
just,
Biggest moth in the world. They're
it was pretty
giant,
crazy.
but they're big. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dayflyer, which is neat. I've seen them in Rio. I went to Rio.
Um,
A lot of my traveling is done to see birds. I didn't
yep.
want to be a birder. Birders are weird. It just sort of happened. So it's an excuse to go places, and I'll get a guide when I'm there.
Yeah.
I've traveled Costa Rica, well, 3 times, but twice with a guide, and we saw so much more than we would otherwise. And like the when you're into plants, I think it bleeds easily into all sorts of other nature in general. Like
Hmm.
I was one of those weird little kids that collected insects. Now I just take pictures and post them on iNaturalist. But you start learning about one type of nature, and then you start noticing how it interacts with other types of nature, and then you start learning about those. Like it's a lot of birders are into dragonflies. Did you know
Hmm.
some dragonflies migrate? Like the great big
No.
darners, they migrate. Yeah, isn't that cool? I didn't
Huh.
know that. I just found that out this year. Always new stuff. Um, and so you end up learning less about the plants and more about how everything interacts together. And the world just gets cooler and cooler as it does. There's a caterpillar, the large blue, that's the name of the butterfly, its caterpillar mimics ant language and gets the ants to carry it. Yeah, you just wait. The ants to carry it into its burrow, and they treat it like a queen and feed it and everything. And I know. I read a book called
Wow.
The Language of Butterflies recently, and it just blew me away. Right now, I'm reading Microbia by Eugenia Bone, and it's also incredible. So many eye-opening things, and I thought I knew. This happens to be over and over again in horticulture and every other facet of life. I keep thinking
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing, and
And
every
then
once in a
you
while,
discover something.
the
It's like,
world
oh,
slaps me in the head. You don't know nothing.
we like surprises. I think people in
Yeah,
horticulture, we like it, right? When something
we
blooms,
better.
something's unexpected, something shows up, something dies. It's always ever changing.
Every day in the garden's like Christmas because there's something new happening every day, and you forgot about it from last year.
Yep.
Oh, I
That's
forgot I
actually
bought
what
those
I say.
bulbs.
Whenever I see something new, I'm out in my backyard and I think people call it stimming. I don't know if I'm actually stimming or not, but I kind of do this happy dance. And I'm like, it's like Christmas, right? And the neighbors are probably like, oh, she's at it again. Like there's
There we
something
go, though.
blooming.
What did we talk about?
Oh,
Don't
my
care what the
freak
neighbors
flag is
think.
flying. Don't you worry about that.
I don't mind growing old, but I refuse to grow up.
Which what?
I
Refuse to
don't
grow
mind
what?
growing old, but I refuse to grow up.
Oh, I thought we were talking about growing stuff. I'm like, I don't know that plant. What are you talking about? Oh, that's funny. So we're just about at our time here. We still got about 8 minutes left before my recording timer thing kicks us off. But
You
when you
know,
were
it's
talking
okay.
about
Podcasts
birding,
run long.
I know, but my Zoom account is limited to 40 minutes.
I boosted mine.
Yeah,
Carry on.
I did that
Talking about birding.
previously. Probably time to do it again. But another random thing. Have you seen that meme where it's a guy and he's like a park ranger and he's acting all like a superhero and it says Phil Rogers is really good at identifying birds. And then it goes to the next picture and he's like, that is a bird. That is a bird. That is
That is
not a
also
bird.
a bird.
That is also a bird. And that's how I'm with birding. It's like I can tell it's a bird. Um,
I'm forever getting better.
that's really cool.
There's
My dad's really into
sparrows
birds.
outside my window, and I have, nah, you won't be able to see that. I have hairy woodpecker right now, but also a red-bellied woodpecker.
Hmm,
And we have sparrows here that I thought were song sparrows. And I've always wanted to see an American tree sparrow. Apparently in the wintertime, that's what I've been seeing. They have a black spot on their breast,
huh.
but they don't have the stripies that the song sparrows do. So I've been seeing tons of them. You're so pretty.
Okay. Something new for me to keep an eye out on of what different birds what. There's just so many, right?
Oh,
Um,
goodness, yes.
so talking about books. So you actually mentioned a couple just kind of casually, but as a horticulturalist and a self-proclaimed plant nerd, what can you think of one or maybe two books that you think, man, people have got to get this in their library?
Well, anything by Alan Armitage is a great book to have.
Okay.
Dr. Alan Armitage, Canadian, but works in Georgia. He's okay. His books are phenomenal. He's super enthusiastic. He has two books about why plants are named what they're named. Um,
Hmm.
one is called Of Naked Ladies and Forget-Me-Nots. He wanted to call it Of Naked Ladies and Spotted Dicks, but the publisher wouldn't let him because there's a play called Spotted Dick.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, that's
people
funny.
have to read Entangled Life by Merlin Sheldrake, not just because his name's too cool, but it's an amazing book on fungi.
Okay.
There's so many good books out. Braiding Sweetgrass is phenomenal.
I have that on my
Um,
top shelf right there.
there you go. Ha! That's um, Lab Girl by Hope Yaren was really good as well. There's just so many great books out there. It's tough to narrow it down, but oh, and Teaming with Microbes, TAM, Teaming with Microbes, all about
Okay.
soil stewardship. Well,
Huh.
not just about soil stewardship, but it's about microbes in the soil. But it's fascinating, and that's one of the biggest places that we can make a difference in the world is by soil stewardship,
Yep.
and knowing what to do right and what to do, what not to do, but also we're forever learning about things to watch out for, like the new jumping worms, which are
Mm-hmm.
absolutely unadulterated evil.
Yeah,
Um,
I saw a video.
but
They're freaky.
Yeah, they are. People should
Haven't
also
seen
think
one.
about, if you're interested in gardening, think about joining the Master Gardeners, or you're just your local garden club. But everybody goes, "Oh, I don't know enough." Oh, baloney. You learn as you go, and it's
Yeah,
amazing what you pick up. We had a speaker the other night on invasive insects, like the
right.
spotted lanternfly, and it was
Woohoo.
fascinating, absolutely fascinating.
I saw your
I,
post because
I,
you've got
I'm
a display box,
That's
right?
not mine. That was
No?
hers. That
Oh,
was the
okay.
speaker's.
Gotcha.
She's from the ministry, Almafra, I think. Um, and so she was passing that around. And when I was a little kid, I always wanted to see one because they're beautiful. And
Mm-hmm.
I worry that I made that wish and it came true because now they're here.
We can all
So,
blame you now for this invasive insects that is
yes, absolutely.
bombarding us. Oh, geez. Well, I think that was it for me. I'm just going through my notes, making sure that there wasn't anything else. I mean,
You didn't
you're
ask me about my
such,
favorite plant.
oh, favorite plant of all? Not just how, okay, lay it on me. I have a hard time
Got to
believing that
be
you have a favorite plant. Are you serious?
milkweed. Milkweed.
Uh, Above
There's so many
everything.
different varieties.
Yep.
Yep. Closely followed by some of the really cool garden-worthy goldenrods,
Yep.
like fireworks goldenrod and zigzag goldenrod for the shade, and gray goldenrod is a nice little clump-forming deal. Goldenrods are lovely as well. But
Now,
because
fireworks,
of
is
all the
that
good that it does,
a cultivar?
fireworks is a nativar.
Oh, okay.
Well, we say nativar, it is a cultivar.
Yep.
A nativar is a cultivar of a native plant.
Yep.
Um,
But does it
and
still have to
so
prove
they
like it supports native species in order to be considered a native art? Or
I'm so
no?
glad you asked. Mount Cuba Center has been
Yep.
doing a lot of work on our nativars as good. And what they're finding is that if it has purple leaves, not so much, because what we most care about, not so much about pollinators. Pollinators can feed on anything. Big study at Landscape Ontario with the University of Guelph. They don't care if it's native, non-native, hybrid, even, but the hosts, its ability as a host plant. So all the caterpillars and larvae that would feed on it, and the birds that would feed on that, and all the way up the food chain.
Yep.
That's what's important. And if it has variegated leaves, if it's a native arbor with variegated leaves, then it's actually more valuable as a host plant because it's
Hmm.
actually weaker and the insects know that, so they'll lay more eggs on it. But beyond that, it really doesn't matter. You're talking purple dome aster, it's the same plant, it's just shorter, same leaves, same flowers.
And same amount of
If it
pollen.
is a double, yeah. Now, if it's a double,
Right.
then
That's an
it's
issue.
of no value to pollinators, but
Yep.
it is still valuable as a host plant for caterpillars. So
Hmm.
I'm glad that real science is being done on this.
Yeah.
And it doesn't hurt to give people permission to plant some pretty things too. So
Right. I
yeah,
appreciate that because I know I try to have a balance of natives, nativars,
yeah.
and things that I just think
Yeah.
are pretty. So we are
And
just
near
about out
natives
of
too,
time.
if it's from near here.
Yep. So we've got about a minute left. So at this point, I am going to thank you so much again for taking this time to talk with me on this crazy journey of podcasting. I mean, who am I to do a podcast? But
That's
anybody
super
can.
cool. Well, and
And
you know what? You know who you are to do a podcast? You care and you're enthusiastic, and that's the biggest tick marks to have. That's great. And thank you for having me, giving me a chance to rant and roll and rumble.
hey, especially in January, I think we need more opportunities to talk about plants because every time I look outside, I just want to cry because I can't be gardening right now. So I might,
I don't. Oh, yes, you can. What about winter seeding? You could be
yes,
doing winter seeding
less
right
than a
now.
minute. We're going to be cut off. Thank you again so much, Sean. And
Thank
maybe I'll
you.
be bringing you on for Sean James Part 2. Excellent.
Awesome.
So stay tuned. Check him out. Sean James Consulting online. Thanks so much, Sean. That concludes this week's episode. Tune in every Wednesday for someone new and some new brew. Don't forget to click the follow button to stay in touch. See you next time.